Hi everyone, it's Roz here. So for this morning, we are doing a yoga strength class. And I thought that we could focus on a core-centric class basically. So core sequences are great, especially during this time, because if you think about it, energy is digested and built from the core, from the center of the body. We'll be working with a sequence. We'll go at a pace and progress it as we go along towards a challenge pose at the end of the class, which is baby bakasana. So that's what we'll be working today. There'll be focus on strengthening the shoulders, so stabilizing your shoulder girdle, the core as I mentioned, and there'll be lots of focus on the forearms. All right, so we're going to just start in a seated position. So as you can see, any seated position you like. I'm in a half lotus, but you can be in an easy cross-legged position. So Sukhasana. So I'm going to go to the side here. And then from there, just making sure you've got equal weight on both your sit bones. And you want to start to lift that lower spine out of the pelvis. Yeah, making sure that as you're doing that, those lower ribs do not pop out. So you want to draw them down. All right? And then from there, just softening through the shoulders. Back of the neck is long. We're going to place our hands on our knees and just closing the eyes. Taking a few moments here. And just connect to that breath. So you can keep your eyes open if you wish to, or you can close your eyes. If you do choose to keep your eyes open. Just take this here. Just right. You can start in the Ujjayi breath. We inhale and exhale through the nose. We're gently constricting the throat, and that should use this breath practice. That's completely fine. Just remember to remember of the practice as well. So let's out for the long deep breath. As you inhale, expand your sideways lengthening space within the body. As you exhale, just feel those sit bones ground. Feel the lower draw. 3 more. Last one. Take your next exhale. And knees coming into a tabletop position. All right. So you're going to have your fingers spread on the mat, guys. Those middle fingers are going to point forwards. You're going to get those shoulders stacked directly above the wrists, and those hips are stacked directly above the knees. Knees are out at hip width apart. All right. And then from there, let's do a few rounds of cat and cow as you take your next inhale. Start to draw those shoulder blades back. Start to lift from the heart center. That's your sternum. You're lifting your gaze. As you exhale, push the ground away from you, rounding your back, and just let your head hang. Inhale, opening through the chest, lifting from the sternum, your heart center. Exhale, push the ground away from you, rounding your back, and just let your head hang. 3 more times. And exhale, rounding that back. Inhale. And exhale. Just remembering the movement fits within the breath. Inhale, opening up, creating space. As you exhale, push the ground away from you, rounding your back. And coming back to center. All right. And then from there, let's wake that core up. So you're going to tuck your toes under, and you're just going to bring those shoulders forwards, get them stacked right above the wrists, guys. And then from there, you are going to push the ground away from you. Use those arms to do it. And you are going to hover your knees just above the mat. All right? So there's going to be a lot of slouching. This tends to happen sometimes. Push the ground away from you, as though you're trying to lift your upper back towards the ceiling. No winging between those shoulder blades. And your gaze is forwards. So we're here for 5 breaths. 1. Keep breathing. 2. 3. Keep pushing the ground away from you. 4. And 5. And knees go back onto the mat. So the focus is on the forearms today. We're going to come down onto our forearms now. So just roughly have a look at where your hands are. And that's where your elbows are going to be. All right? And hands are elbows are about shoulder width apart. Okay? And then again, a few rounds of cat and cow. And you're going to find that those movements are less this time. But that's fine. All right? So taking an inhale. Opening through the chest, lifting from the sternum, lift that gaze. As you exhale, this time pushing your forearms into the ground, rounding your back, just let your head hang. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One last one. Inhale. And exhale. Small movements can be just as powerful. All right? And then just settling back to center. Shoulders right above those elbows. And you're going to tuck those toes under. And once again, we are going to lift, hover those knees right above the mat. Push, ground your elbows, ground your forearms into the mat. Push the ground away from you, lifting that upper back towards the ceiling. And you're just gazing forwards. 5 breaths, guys. You're going to start to feel that core light up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Knees back onto the mat. Good. All right. So coming up into your tabletop, let's move into a downward dog. We are going to start to lift those hips up towards the ceiling. Sit bones up towards the sky. And then from here, you can start to walk your dog. So I'm going to widen my stance just a little bit here. All right. And then from here, just pedaling your feet, releasing one heel to the mat and then the other. Yeah, you can sway your hips gently from side to side. So in class, I love to say there's no rules to how you should move as long as it doesn't cause any pain. Yeah, so you can come up into a plank if you wish, and then back into your downward dog. You can bend your knees really deeply if you wish. See if you can touch your belly towards your thighs, and then lengthen your heels back out again. All right? All right. And then with each inhale and with each exhale, just slowly settling back into the pose. And find stillness. Listen to that Ujjayi breath. So let's set your downward dog up, all right? Your hands are your shoulder width apart. Once again, those middle fingers, they're going to point forwards, okay? And then from there, I want you to ground your palms into the mat. Strengthen those arms. You're going to push back and lengthen your heels towards the mat. All right? So your feet are about your hip width apart. So
It might not completely touch the mat, that's completely fine, but bring your awareness to lengthening your heels. So you want to have this sensation as though you're trying to push your thigh bones back, not the backs of your knees, but your thigh bones. All right? 5 breaths here. Those lower ribs, they want to pop out. Don't let them pop out. Draw them in, draw them down towards your thighs. Good. And your gaze, your drishti, is towards that center point between your feet. We're here for 3 more breaths. 3. 4. And 5. Gazing forwards, we're going to start to walk feet towards our hands, just moving slowly, moving mindfully. From there, just shifting your weight forwards into the balls of your feet, all right? And we're just going to hang here. And as you take your next inhale, just rolling yourself up 1 vertebra at a time. So you're articulating each column of that spine as you move. Your head is coming up last. And we're coming up to the top of your mat into Tadasana. So this is your mountain pose. This is the base pose for all your standing poses, all right? We're going to do 2 rounds of Surya Namaskar, so your sun salutations. And then from there, we're going to build up on those flows, all right? So your feet into the mat. Your feet can either be together or hip width apart. Completely up to you, what it feels better for you, all right? So you tailor this to what suits you, basically. That's your yoga practice. All right. And then from here, we're going to take an inhale, growing up nice and tall, lifting those arms up. As you exhale, folding forwards, Uttanasana. Bend your knees if you need to in this forward fold. Inhale, coming up halfway, lifting from the sternum, from your heart center. As you exhale, palms to the mat, step or jump back into your plank pose. Get those shoulders direct above the wrist. Push the ground away from you, lifting that upper back towards. Gazing forwards, take an inhale. As you exhale, knees, chest, and chin to the ground. This is Ashtangasana. As you inhale, coming into your cobra or your upward dog. And as you exhale, rolling over those toes, lifting sit bones, downward dog. Staying here for 5 breaths. 3, 4, and 5. We're gazing forwards, bending both knees, and then from there, stepping or floating your feet up to the top of the mat. Gaze forwards, exhale, Uttanasana. And as you inhale, ground your feet first. We're coming back up to standing, arms raised above the head. And exhale, arms by your sides, Tadasana. Okay, so let's try that one more time. A little faster this time. Let's go. Inhale. Exhale, folding forwards, Uttanasana. Find that forward fold. Inhale, we're coming up halfway, lifting from the sternum. As you exhale, palms to the mat, step or jump your feet back into your plank. Now you can take an inhale here. As you exhale, either knees go back onto the mat in Ashtangasana or taking Chaturanga, so this half push-up pose. Inhale into your cobra or upward dog. As you exhale, rolling over those toes, lifting sit bones, downward dog. 5 breaths. 1. Your hands are your shoulder width apart. 2. Your feet are your hip width apart. 3. You're pushing those thigh bones back, strong legs, strong downward dog. 4. Your gaze is towards that center point between your feet. And 5. Keep breathing. Gazing forwards, bending both knees, and then from there, stepping your feet or floating them back up. Exhale, Uttanasana. As you inhale, ground your feet first.
Coming back up to standing, arms raised above the head. And exhale, Tadasana, mountain pose. All right? And then from there, we are going to step feet out and hip width apart, or even wider if you choose for it to be wider. All right? We are going to sink into a squat. You're going to take an inhale, float those arms forwards. As you exhale, bending those knees, coming into a squat. As low as you can go. And where you are is completely fine. Good. Now in this squat, this is Ardha Utkatasana, half chair pose. You want to start to shift your weight back into your heels, all right? So it's as though if you wanted to, you could lift up all 10 toes and that would still just be as fine, yeah? All right. And then we're working on getting those knees to be stacked right above the ankles. Strong thighs, steady breath, 3. Relax those shoulders, 4. And 5. We're going to reach down, taking a yogi grip on your big toes, your thumbs and your index fingers. We're taking an inhale as we gaze forwards, lifting from the heart center. And as you exhale, elbows bending out to the sides. Coming into Padangustasana, hand to your big toe pose. And then just settling into this pose, shifting that weight forwards into the balls of your feet once again. So we play with this shifting of weight quite a bit, yeah? And then from there, I want you guys to start shifting your weight forwards. Feel the hamstrings lengthening. Feel those quadriceps strengthening. And then just let your head hang. And then from there, just a gentle upward lift of that pelvic floor. This is Mula Bandha. So it's the same muscles that you contract when you're trying to stop a wee midway. All right, that's the best way I can describe it, Mula Bandha. Giving strength to that core. One more breath. We're taking an inhale, gazing forwards, lifting from the heart center. You can repeat what you just did, or if you want to go a little deeper, you're going to slide your hands. So your palms are upwards. You're going to slide your hands underneath your feet, stepping back onto those palms. We're taking an inhale, gazing forwards, lifting from the sternum. And as you exhale, folding forwards. This is Padahastasana, hand to foot pose. And the alignment points are exactly the same, guys. So you're still shifting your weight forwards into the balls of your feet. Only this time there are hands underneath it, all right? And then from there, those hamstrings are still lengthening. Those quadriceps are still strong. Head is just hanging there, no pressure in the neck. And that pelvic floor is lifted. 2 more breaths. Taking an inhale, gazing forwards. From there, exhale, releasing your hands from underneath your feet, finding that bend in your knees, strong legs. We're going to sweep those arms forwards once again, palms facing each other. And those shoulders are soft. That face is soft, that jaw is unclenched, there's a smile on your face. A few more breaths. 3, 4, and 5. Hands to your hips, coming back up to standing. All right, so hopefully we're all warmed up now. Feeling that heat build up in the body, we call that tapas. We're gonna work our way into a flow, all right? Taking an inhale. Lifting those arms, palms together. Exhale, folding forwards, Uttanasana. Bend your knees if you need to. Inhale, coming up halfway. Exhale, palms to the ground, step or jump back. Excuse me, into your plank. Taking an inhale here as you exhale. Knees onto the mat or lowering into chaturanga. Inhale, lifting up into your cobra or your upward dog. And as you exhale, rolling over those toes, lifting sit bones, downward dog. We're going to gaze forwards now. From here, you're going to draw that right knee in towards your chest, move those shoulders forwards, push the ground away from you, and then step your foot in between your hands. Working our way into a low lunge now. So from here, we're just going to find a twist. So we're going to twist to the right first. You're going to extend that right arm up towards the sky. And breathing here. Opening through the chest. That sternum still lifted, that gaze is up. And don't forget that back leg. Reach that heel towards the back of the room. 3, 4, and 5. Releasing that hand back onto the mat. We are releasing that back knee to the mat and coming up into a low lunge. All right? So a quick check. Knees stacked above the ankle. That tailbone is pushing slightly towards the pubic bone. Those lower ribs, they want to stick out, draw them down. All right? So that right knee is front, so we're going to place right elbow underneath the left, bringing palms to touch. These are your Garudasana arms, your eagle arms, all right? You're going to lift your forearms slightly and then push your palms away from your face. Taking an inhale, draw it in long and deep. And as you exhale, folding forwards. Inhale. Exhale, touch elbows to that right knee. Inhale. And exhale. One more time, inhale. And exhale. And then from here, unraveling your hands, bringing hands to either side of that foot, lifting that back knee off of the mat, stepping that right foot back into your plank, and moving right into your downward dog, straight into it, guys. And settling here. Onto the left side, taking an inhale, gazing forwards. From there, we're going to lift that left knee, draw it in towards the chest, push the ground away from you. Those shoulders are forwards, all right? And then from there, stepping that left foot in between the hands. Onto that twist, taking an inhale. We're twisting to the left this time. Extending that left arm up towards the sky. Fingers are charged, guys. Opening through the chest, lifting from the heart center. So the movement comes from the center of the body, not just in the arms. And while we're there, do not forget your back legs. So start to reach that heel towards the back of the room. 3, 4, and 5. Releasing back onto the mat. Release that back knee to the mat. And taking an inhale, coming up into that low lunge. Quick check. Knees stacked above the ankle. Tailbone pushing towards the pubic bone. Lower ribs are down. All right? Left knee's forward, so we're going to bring left elbow underneath the right. Lifting elbows up and pushing palms away from you. Taking an inhale, long and deep. As you exhale, folding forwards. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. And last one, inhale. And exhale. Releasing your hands to the mat, lifting your back knee off of the mat, and then from there, you're going to step back into your plank. You can take your flow or go straight into your downward dog. So this vinyasa flow, completely optional. You don't have to take it. And breathe, settling back to center. Feel your inhales and your exhales. Taking an inhale, gazing forwards, bending both knees. And then from there, you're going to step or float your feet up to the top of the mat. Exhale into Uttanasana, your forward fold. And as you inhale, ground your feet into the mat. We're coming back up to standing, arms raised above the head. And exhale, Tadasana, mountain pose. All right. Now, I'm just going to do a really quick. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. And then let's build up on that sequence. So remember, you can always go back to the initial sequence that we worked on. Depending on how you feel, completely fine. If you need to do it from a low lunge, do it from a low lunge, all right? Otherwise, we're going to progress to a high lunge now. Taking an inhale, raising both arms up. Lift your gaze as you exhale, folding forwards, Uttanasana. Inhale, coming up halfway, lift from the sternum. As you exhale, palms to the mat, step or float your feet back into your plank. Taking an inhale here. As you exhale, knees onto the mat, Ashtangasana, or taking Chaturanga. Inhale, lift up into your cobra or your upward dog. As you exhale, taking an inhale, gazing forwards. We're going to draw that right knee in towards the chest. And then from there, you're going to just tap that knee over to your right wrist and then zip it up to the elbow. You see what I just did there? Push the ground away from you. Wrist up to the elbow. And then step that foot in between your hands. All right? From there, we're going to work our way into a high lunge. Taking an inhale and coming up into this crescent lunge. And you'll find that the alignment points are all exactly the same. Knees stacked above the ankle, tailbone towards the pubic bone, lower ribs down. All right? And if you feel that your balance is not quite there today, completely fine to do this from a low lunge. All right? Okay. So from here, hands to palm positions at the heart. We are going to twist to the right side. All right, so crescent lunge, twisting to the right, and see if you can hook your left elbow on the outside of that right knee, bringing thumbs to the heart center into this crescent twist. For some of you, if you wish, you can extend your arms out, left fingertips to the mat. And all right. We are over there. Staying here for 5 breaths. Don't forget that back leg. Keep reaching that back heel to the back. 3, 4, and 5. Coming back to center. Right elbow goes underneath the left. Lift those elbows, push your palms away from you. Take an inhale. As you exhale, folding forwards. Inhale. Exhale, folding forwards, strong legs. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. And last one, inhale. And exhale. Releasing your hands, bring hands to the ground. Stepping that right foot back into your plank and moving straight into your downward dog, right into it. And taking a few breaths here. Onto the left side, gazing forwards, drawing that left knee in towards the chest. And then that knee goes over to the left wrist this time. We're going to zip it up to the elbow. And then placing that foot in between the hands. Grounding that front foot to the mat, engaging that back quadricep. As you are ready, we are going to lift up into our high lunge, into that crescent lunge. So, as you can see, that knee is stacked right above the ankle, tailbone moving towards the pubic bone, hands to preposition at the heart. This time we are twisting to the left, hooking that left elbow on the outside of our right, extending the arms if you wish. And breathe. Reach that back heel to the back. Strengthen that leg. Strong legs make 4. Steady balance. 3. 4. And 5. Gaze down. And then from there, back to center. We are going to place our left elbow underneath the right. Lift your elbows up. Push your palms away from you. Taking an inhale here as you exhale, folding forwards. 3 more times. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And last one, strong legs. Inhale. And exhale. Feeling the burn. And if the body shakes, that's completely fine. Let it shake. Okay, strong arms from there. You're going to step that left foot back into your plank. And you can take your flow or go straight into downward dog. Three more breaths in downward dog. And from there, let's take a quick rest in child's pose. So you're going to place your knees onto the mat. Big toes are touching, heels are slightly apart. We're going to sink your sit bones all the way towards your heels. Arms, walk them out in front of you. And finally, if it's available to you, forehead to the mat. If not, if this causes any pressure in your neck, you want to stack your fists one on top of each other and then place your forehead on your fists instead. So different options to work with depending on where you are at with your practice today. And in Balasana, just finding stillness here in your child's pose. We use this as a resting pose. And just finding or observing, being aware of that difference between that dynamic flow and now just suddenly finding stillness back on the mat. And listen to the breath. As you inhale, feeling space in the body. As you exhale, grounding down. All right, just a quick rest. Now from there, you're going to tuck your toes under. You're going to lift yourself back up into your downward dog. You can move really slowly. The body has just been resting. Now we're going to gaze forwards, bending both knees. Step or float your feet to the top of the mat. Exhale into Uttanasana. And as you inhale, ground your feet first, guys. We're coming back up to standing, arms raised above the head. And exhale. All right. Now, those are the two sequences or the two flows that will help prepare us for the challenge pose. We're going to move into more static standing poses, and what that does is it helps to build up strength and flexibility in the body. All right, so we're going to take a slow flow now, taking an inhale, raising both arms up, lifting your gaze. As you exhale, folding forwards. Inhale, coming up halfway, lifting from the sternum. As you exhale, palms onto the mat, step or jump back into your plank. Taking an inhale, as you exhale, knees to the mat or take chaturanga. Inhale, up into your upward dog. And exhale, downward dog. All right. As you take your next inhale, gazing forwards, we're going to draw that right knee in towards the chest, over to the left wrist this time, and then zip it up to the elbow. Step that foot in between the hands. From here, we're going to transition into our warrior two. So you're going to ground your back foot to the mat. As you take your next inhale, we're going to windmill our arms out to the sides. Virabhadrasana 2. So, in your stance, you want that right knee to be tracking slightly to the right. If you gaze down, you should be able to peek at your right big toe. Your tailbone is neutral. Arms are out to the sides, nice and strong. You are gazing past that right middle finger. 3, 4, and 5. Let's reverse that warrior. Find that dancing warrior, sliding your left hand down your left thigh, reaching that right arm up towards the sky. Find lift and length, and only then bringing it up and over the head. 3, 4, and 5. Coming back to center. That right elbow goes right above that right. And we are bringing that left arm up and over the head. All right. 3. Grounding down on both feet. 4. And 5. Back to your warrior two. Start to lengthen or extend through that front leg. You're going to turn that right foot in, and hands go onto the hips. So, coming into right-legged forward fold, just first checking the width of your stance. Yeah, you want your feet to be turned slightly inwards, so toes are pointing slightly inwards. Hands are by your sides. And in terms of how wide your feet need to be, a good gauge would be to have your arms just out wide for a bit, and it should roughly line up with your wrists. Okay? Your ankles should roughly line up with your wrists. All right. Okay. Hands on your hips, taking an inhale, lifting from the sternum, draw those shoulder blades back, and as you exhale, folding forwards. Fold, Asarita Padottanasana, right-legged fold at the full extent of your toes. You can leave your hands on your hips or place them onto the mat instead. You're going to walk your hands back. Fingers are still pointing forwards. Taking an inhale, lifting from the heart center. And as you exhale, bending your elbows, coming into your forward fold. Now, you want to keep your elbows parallel to each other, so that helps to protect the shoulder girdle. You want to shift your weight forwards into the balls of your feet. That gets those legs nice and strong. And the head just hangs there. 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3. And we're gently drawing that lower belly in. 4 and 5. Taking an inhale, gazing forwards, lifting from the sternum. As you exhale, hands go onto the hips. Ground. Keep them nice and strong, guys. Protecting it, coming back up. Ooh, to standing. I don't know about you, but I felt my legs shaking that. Okay, and then from there, we're going to pivot that right foot So that toes are pointing front again. Find that bend in that right knee. Bring your arms out to the sides. Taking an inhale as you exhale, windmilling your hands, bring them down to the ground. Step that right foot back into your plank. And let's move straight into your downward dog. And breathe. So for some of you, if you need to take a rest, please feel free. In fact, it's your practice. You can take a break whenever you need to in child's pose. Just making sure you're still and silent. And as you are ready, just resuming. Okay, on to the left side. We're going to gaze forwards. Draw that left knee in. And then that knee goes over to the right wrist this time. The elbow. Push the ground away from you. Between the hands. We're going to ground that back foot to the mat. Ready. Inhale your arms. Bring them out to the side. Finding your warrior two. Virabhadrasana 2. That back foot is almost parallel to the back of the mat. Left knee is above the left. If you gaze down, the left big toe, tailbone is neutral. 3, 4, and 5. Let's reverse that one hand down that right leg, reaching that left arm up to the sky, and then only then bringing it up and over the head. 3, 4, and 5. Back to your warrior two. Left elbow goes right above that left knee. Right arm reaches up to the sky, then bring it over the head. 3. That right rib, it wants to pop out. Draw it down. Contain it. 4. And 5. Back to your warrior two. Start to extend through that left leg. Pivot that foot so that you're turning it in. That's parallel to the right. Hands go onto the hips. Okay, now we are moving into a horse rider stance now. We are going to, at the same time, if you can, turn both feet out. Okay, and then from there, just imagine a long line just connected to your tailbone, dropping all the way down to the ground. Nice neutral tailbone, all right? From there, you're going to place your forearms against each other, press your palms against each other, lift those elbows up, and push your palms away from your face, taking an inhale, long spine as you exhale, knees out to the sides. That tailbone position does not move at all. So you're not sticking your tailbone out, you're not tucking it in. It's long and neutral and comfortable. Feel for the seat of your pelvis, lift your pelvic floor up. Good. 3, 4, and 5. Hands back to the hips, coming back up to standing. Turn that right foot back in, pivot through that left foot so that toes are pointing forwards. Find that bend in that left knee. Bring your arms out to the sides, warrior two. Take an inhale. As you exhale, windmill your arms, bring your palms down to the ground. Step your left foot back. Take your flow or go straight into downward dog. We are all meeting there. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog, and knees to the mat. Child's pose. And just sinking into this nice, juicy pose. Feeling the of your all efforts up to here. And knowing that, acknowledging the fact that it does not matter. Yeah, it does not matter where we are in our practice. Just finding that stillness of mind. And the quiet. And then letting your body soften into this frame, this vessel that is holding you up. Now, in Balasana, in your child's pose, you can be in this wide-legged child's pose. If you prefer, though, you can squeeze your thighs, your knees close together. You're just going to flop your belly onto your thighs. Take this variation instead, arms by your sides, and forehead on the mat, or on stacked fists. So whatever you prefer, all right? So I'm going to take this variation instead, 5 breaths here. And then just softening. Let that body just ground down. And just surrendering to the breath. Listening to the inhales, to the exhales. And we're feeling that breath at the back of the throat. Feeling sensations of your breathing, how it feels against the clothes on your skin. With each exhale, soften. Just that little bit. And as you take your next inhale, just coming back to neutral point. Now, it's often not the end game or the end goal. It's merely there, just for a play around. All right? So we've done, we've contracted all the right muscles with hopefully and surrender in those sequences. And the focus for all those sequences to the element that's required for to a quick play. It depends in Sanskrit. And then it's time for the mat. Okay? Okay. So we are going to come into this kneeling position. You grab opposite elbows. Can you just turn the other way? The mic. All right, yeah. Sorry. Okay, there we go. All right, so back into this kneeling position. We're going to grab opposite elbows and place it on. This gives you a gauge of how far your elbows need to be on the mat. And once you're there, you're just going to release your hands, place them fingers spread onto the ground. Okay? All right. And then from there, we're going to lift that bum up. So knees are still onto the mat. You can tuck your toes under at this stage. And your gaze, your drishti, is perhaps to the top of your mat. Yeah, so that's a good guiding point, all right? Not straight down. If it's straight down, you're going to fall on your nose. So we're gazing forwards. And same thing, you're going to find that, and I'm kind of doing it too, you're going to find that there's a bit of slouching in that lower back, all right? So you want to keep that core strong. You're going to draw that navel towards the spine and then that upper back towards the ceiling, all right? So that movement of pressing your forearms into the mat. And that gives you a stable, strong foundation for baby Bakasana. Okay, so from there, you're going to tuck your toes under. And we're going to go back to that pose we did at the start, which is we're going to hover those knees right above the mat, push the ground away from you. And then from there, see if you can start to slowly walk your feet further in so that knees go up against the upper arms. And then from there, start to rock that weight back and forth, playing with that weight. And if it's available to you, lifting one foot off the mat and then the other. All right. So that's a way to get into baby bakasana. So just really quickly, just a quick recap. Knees onto the mat, grabbing on opposite elbows, placing them on the mat. Your gaze is forwards, releasing your hands, fingers spread onto the mat. Tuck your toes under. Lift your knees off of the mat. Let them hover there. Push the ground away from you guys. And then start to walk your feet in. Walk them in, walk them in. Place your knees on your upper arms if you can. And then from there, play with that shifting of the weight. If you are able to, lifting one foot off the mat and then the other. Ooh. And there we go. So give that a go at home. And just being really aware that it's a journey to get there, yeah? And it's not so much trying to get to the pose or achieve that pose. It's all the steps that come before that, all right? Okay, so let's start to come down to the mat. Back on your sit bones. You're going to come into Dandasana. So from there, extending your legs. All right. For some of you, if you need that lift up from that lower back, you might want to grab a cushion, rolled up towel, a block if you have it handy at home. Place it underneath your sit bones. For everyone else, just making sure you're high up on your sit bones. Fingers are your toes are dorsiflexed. Toes pointing up and then in towards you. All right, keeping your legs nice and strong. Those quadriceps are engaged, okay? And we're taking an inhale, raising both arms up. And as you exhale, reaching forwards, grabbing the outer edges of your feet, or your ankles, guys, or your shins, or you can even grab your upper thighs. Work with bringing that awareness to that movement in your hips. All right? As you fold forwards, I want you to picture the heads of your femur bones drawing deep into the sockets. So that gives you that motion to fold forwards. And depending where you are, it's completely fine. If you want your fingertips on the mat, that's fine too. But just being quite aware that that lower belly touches the tops of your thighs before anything else does. All right? And we're here for 5 breaths. Staying with the breath, keep those legs strong, keep your feet dorsiflexed. Keep that sternum beaming forwards. Back of the neck is long. Your drishti is towards your toes. This is Paschimottanasana, seated forward bend. Two more breaths. And last one. Taking an inhale, gazing forwards. As you exhale, releasing out of the pose. From here, right knee, you're gonna cross that right foot over that left leg. And then we're gonna bend that left knee as well. So essentially, we're gonna work on stacking knees right over the left. All right? Or working towards it. So if it looks like that, that's completely fine. All right? And then without the help of hands, see if you can scoot your heels closer in towards your hips or your sit bones. You want to make sure that you're grounded through those sit bones, lifting that lower back out of the pelvis. We're going to take an inhale, raising that left arm up, and then bending at the elbow, bringing that right arm behind you, and bringing fingers to touch. If you find that those fingers are not meeting today, that's completely fine. You can grab a towel, grab onto the opposite edges of the towel, or you can just grab your top, and that works too. All right? So for some of you, this might happen. And if it does, draw those lower ribs down. All right? And for some of you, you find this will happen. And what you want to do is lift that sternum up. Staying with the breath. And staying here, or if it's available to you, you can take a forward fold. As you take your next inhale, coming back to center. And as you exhale, releasing your hands and unraveling those legs. Onto the left side. Now, from here, we're going to cross that left foot over the right knee and then work on stacking those knees. Left over right. All right? Without the use of hands, we're going to scoot your heels closer in towards the sit bones. Taking an inhale, raising that right arm up and then just bending at the elbow. Bringing that left arm behind you, bringing fingers to touch if it's available to you, or holding the outer or the ends of a towel, of a hand towel, or your top. All right? And once again, if there's arching in the back, draw those lower ribs down. If there is a curving of the upper back, lift that sternum up. Taking an inhale as you exhale, coming into a forward fold, only if it's available to you, staying here for 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Inhaling, coming back to a neutral spine. As you're exhaling, releasing out of the pose. We're going to extend those legs out. Taking an inhale, sweeping those arms forwards, and as you exhale, start to roll back 1 vertebra at a time, initiating that movement from the base of your spine all the way to come to lying flat on your back on the mat. And taking a few breaths here. Drawing those knees in towards the chest and just giving yourselves a hug, just wrapping those arms around your shins if you wish. Rocking gently side to side, back and forth. Give that spine a little bit of a massage. Back of the head resting comfortably on the ground. And as you're ready, just settling in for Shavasana. So we're going to place the soles of our feet onto the mat. All right? From there, you're just going to lift your hips off of the mat, tuck your tailbone towards the pubic bone, and then place those hips back on the mat again. And only then extending your legs out, letting your feet flop naturally out to the sides. Palms are turned up. And eyes are closed. Shavasana, corpse pose. And just softening yourself into the ground. Trusting in this body that is holding you up. As you soften, relax, find stillness. Continuing to stay in Shavasana for as long as you wish. Take as long as you wish for your rest. And whenever you are ready, you can just roll over on one side and come back to seated and enjoy whatever the day has to bring. Staying with the breath.